The fate of Adolf Hitler, death or escape. April 30th, 1945, Berlin is in flames. Soviet forces are closing in, their artillery pounding the city relentlessly. Deep beneath the Reich Chancellery, in a reinforced concrete bunker, Adolf Hitler, the leader of Nazi Germany, sits in a dimly lit room. The man who once commanded armies across Europe is now trapped, surrounded by destruction, his empire in ruins. He knows the end has come. For months, Hitler had remained hidden in his underground fortress, issuing increasingly erratic orders to armies that no longer existed, speaking of counter-offensives that would never come. By late April, reality was undeniable. Berlin was lost. The Third Reich had collapsed, and with it, his delusions of victory. The last hours. By April 29th, Hitler had already made up his mind. He had no intention of surrendering, no plans to be captured alive. He had seen what happened to Italy's dictator, Benito Mussolini, executed by partisans, his corpse strung up for the public to see. Hitler feared a similar fate and was determined to deny his enemies that satisfaction. In the early hours of that morning, Hitler married his longtime companion, Eva Braun, in a small ceremony inside the bunker. Those present described the event as surreal, two people exchanging vows in the shadow of death. Immediately afterward, Hitler summoned his personal secretary, Traudl Junge, to dictate his final will and political testament. In it, he blamed the Jews for the war, denounced his generals for their failures, and named Admiral Karl Dönitz as his successor, ensuring that the Nazi regime would live on, at least in name. The following day, as Soviet troops fought their way through the city, Hitler and Eva Braun retreated to his private quarters. At around 3:30 p.m., a gunshot echoed through the bunker. When the staff entered the room, they found Hitler slumped on a couch, blood dripping from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to his right temple. Beside him, Eva Braun lay lifeless, having taken cyanide. Loyal aides wasted no time. Per Hitler's orders, they carried his and Braun's bodies up a narrow staircase to the garden outside. There they were placed in a shallow trench, doused in gasoline and set on fire. The flames flickered under the overcast sky as the smell of burning flesh filled the air. By the time Soviet troops arrived, only charred remains remained. The Soviet discovery and Stalin's deception. When the Soviets finally entered the bunker on May 2nd, 1945, they immediately launched a secret investigation into Hitler's fate. His dental remains, part of a lower jaw and a few teeth, were recovered and matched with dental records provided by his dentist's assistant, confirming his identity. But Joseph Stalin had other plans. Rather than publicly announce Hitler's death, he fueled speculation and doubt. The Soviets released conflicting reports. Some claimed Hitler had died in the bunker, others suggested he had escaped. Stalin even told US President Harry Truman at the Potsdam Conference in July 1945 that Hitler had likely fled. Why would the Soviets do this? Part of it was psychological warfare, keeping the Western Allies uncertain, fostering paranoia, and maintaining the image of Hitler as an elusive enemy who might still be out there. This deliberate spread of misinformation laid the groundwork for decades of speculation and conspiracy theories. The escape theories. Almost immediately after the war, rumors began circulating that Hitler had survived. Witnesses claimed to have seen him boarding a plane, escaping through underground tunnels, or even fleeing Berlin in a secret convoy. One of the most popular theories was that Hitler escaped to Argentina. The idea wasn't entirely far-fetched. Many high-ranking Nazis, including Adolf Eichmann and Josef Mengele, successfully fled to South America using secret networks called rat lines. The Vatican, along with sympathetic elements within Spain and Argentina, helped former Nazis find safe passage. In Argentina, a German expatriate community already existed, providing a perfect hiding place. Declassified FBI files reveal that US intelligence officials investigated reports of Hitler sightings in South America. Some claimed he was living in a remote village in the Andes, while others described a hidden Nazi stronghold deep in the Argentine wilderness. But none of these reports ever yielded concrete proof. In 2014, a former CIA operative named Bob Baer investigated declassified documents that suggested Hitler may have traveled from Berlin to Spain, then to Argentina via submarine. However, there was no forensic evidence to support the claim. Another theory suggested that Hitler assumed a new identity. Some conspiracy theorists believe he underwent plastic surgery and lived out his days in secrecy. This idea, while sensational, has never been backed by credible evidence. Scientific evidence and the final proof. Despite these wild claims, the strongest evidence remains forensic analysis. In 2017, French scientists were given access to a skull fragment that had been kept in Russian archives for decades. The results were conclusive. The skull, which contained a bullet hole, belonged to Hitler. The teeth matched records provided by his dentist, confirming that he had died in the bunker. Even more revealing was the state of Hitler's dental remains. His teeth showed heavy wear and decay, consistent with reports that he suffered from severe dental issues. The metal dental work was also a perfect match to what his dentist had recorded before his death. Why do theories persist? If the evidence is so clear, why do people still believe Hitler escaped? The answer lies in human psychology. The idea that such an infamous figure simply ended his life in an underground bunker feels unsatisfying. Conspiracy theories thrive on secrecy, misinformation, and the natural human tendency to question official narratives. The secrecy surrounding Hitler's remains, especially the fact that the Soviets never publicly displayed his body, only added fuel to the fire. Unlike Mussolini, whose corpse was photographed and displayed, Hitler's body was quickly burned and later destroyed completely by the Soviets in 1970. This lack of visible proof created a void, one that conspiracy theories have been eager to fill. The final conclusion. Despite the enduring myths, history remains firm on one fact. Adolf Hitler never left Berlin alive. He did not escape to Argentina, nor did he reinvent himself under a new identity. He died as a broken man, abandoned by his allies, trapped in a dark underground bunker beneath the ruins of the empire he had once built. The evidence, eyewitness accounts, dental records, forensic analysis, all point to the same conclusion. Hitler's death was not a mystery. It was the inevitable, humiliating end of one of history's most infamous figures. And yet, as long as there are unanswered questions, as long as there are secrets buried in archives, the legend of Hitler's escape will continue to intrigue, fascinate, and mislead those willing to believe.